Now Miami wants to talk about it. Several of these pass plays in this last possession. The first one took 11 seconds off the clock. 11 seconds, it resulted in an incompletion. They have not managed the clock very well, but you can say that to Ja'Cory Harris, but if he can't find anybody open, he can't find anybody open.
Let me tell you what has become open. This crowd. That makes the task of Al Golden and Ja'Cory Harris that much more difficult. You lose a little bit of your composure and your focus and understanding of the down and the distance in the game. At this point now, they cannot let the ball die inbounds.
Look at this. This is just spectacular. These people are losing their mind. This is beautiful. Virginia Tech has one defender waiting back at the 15-yard line. Harris throws it underneath. Caught by Miller. Trying to stay alive. The clock is at 0 and Miller is down. It's over. Alonzo Tweedy made the tackle and Virginia Tech wins. I'll tell you what, if you like college football and you got to watch this whole game, what else could you conceivably ask for? It's one of the greatest games I ever saw. Frank Beamer has joined us. Frank, just your typical Saturday afternoon at Lane State.
And welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast, a part of the College Huddle Network. Along with my partners, Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, and Shelton Moss, I am Curtis Wilson, and we are brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts down at the Counts Family Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. And, y'all, we kicked it off right there with one of the most unbelievable calls in college football, in my opinion, in the last 20 years, in honor of Mike Patrick, who passed away yesterday, because – Mike Patrick called so many Tech games throughout the years, first of all. But when that game happened, and literally, for some reason, Al Golden decided to call a timeout, Mike delivered maybe one of the best lines ever. And I don't know what to say. I'll definitely miss him because to me, he was a voice of college football, voice of the Hokies, voice of the College World Series for years. And, you know, takes me back to a happier time as far as being a Hokie fan was.
Let's run it back even further for some of our old heads. Him and Joe Theismann back on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my introduction to Mike Patrick. And then, obviously, calling all those games for the Hokies, especially when we were winning some football games at a much better clip than we are now. So rest in peace to that man. Definitely a legend in the booth.
Definitely a legend, man. Like I said, RIP. Definitely don't want to overshadow what we're talking about because that's very serious. But when I watch that clip, you know what I'm saying, and I see him, like that's college football. That's Virginia Tech football, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's just electric. That's what you see. That's not what our dumbass fans talk about when we talk about that fucking song. It's not the song, man. It's the the noise, it's the people, it's the atmosphere, it's everything that Hokie Nation makes it.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with the song. The song's good. I don't hate the song. But that electric atmosphere is what Hokie Nation is. And that's what people like myself have grown to love, man. And then, like I said, even with him, commentating that game, just I remember watching it. I wasn't there. But I remember watching it on TV.
People.
Like, it's just, that's what college football is, man. That's what gets you going. And I feel like sometimes I put a tweet out, I guess they're talking about college football, the video game is going to have in the Sandman in it, or they're talking about it being in there for the 26th game. And I'm like, I don't care. Who's blocking on our team this year? That's what I want to know.
Shelton, can I ask real quick, were you at that game back in 11 in Miami?
No, I was not at the game. So that was before I was really like a VT fanatic.
Okay. Well, you were young back then too.
I was 13, I think. So, but I do remember watching that game. That was one of those core, even like as a non-fanatic, that was one of those core VT memories. You're kind of like just like watching the screen in awe and like, man, this is awesome. Like that's, it's unfortunate we haven't had, memories like that. We're still kind of, reminiscing on stuff that's so far back, but it's kind of become more part of like the lore as time has gone on.
Yeah, definitely. Any Miami game, man. Like I told people, whenever we started talking about who we would play in the future, and they was talking about teams that we took away and things like that. Like I said, my first game in Lane Stadium was Virginia Tech versus Miami on a Thursday night. So, like, Miami's probably that's one of my teams. Like, if we're playing Miami, I want to be tuned into that game. So, goes back to this game, glued to the TV, watching it. You know what I'm saying? They come in. We're the higher ranked team, and
I think were they favored in that game? Or something. It was weird. Like we were getting disrespected.
Yeah, there was definitely something there. Yeah, I think it was like, I know we were like kind of close together in record and rank, and it was like, all right, well,
I know Harris was getting a lot of hype and stuff, right? Yeah, around that time.
He always got hype. We always shut his ass up too.
Yeah. So man, I love the Virginia Tech Miami rivalry. I'm calling it a rivalry. If y'all don't like it,
it is.
Kick rocks.
It's a rivalry.
I love that rivalry, man. So listening to that, starting the show with that, takes me back to happier times. I'm still mad, but that takes me to happier times.
There we go. All righty. So
everybody, the theme for this episode is Tally is the old man yelling at the cloud. So
get off my lawn. Get off of it.
Get off the lawn. But along with Tally yelling at the lawn, Shelton, you had been MIA. Shelton's been working his ass off for pretty much the last 3 months. He's back tonight. I like what Robbie said. The gang's back together tonight. We are going to go over spring ball real quick, the spring game, our observations from it, with Brian being there and a couple other folks, and trying to watch little pieces of the spring game and read on things. And obviously, we thought about doing one last week, but last week was hell for all of us. Tally was finishing up baseball. I had multiple games in the middle of the week. Brian had multiple things. Shelton's always working in the middle of the week. So the other thing we mentioned was, wait a second, y'all, the transfer portal opens up. So we can come up here and talk about 6 players like so-and-so looked really good in the portal the next day. So that's another reason we held off. But we are going to hit it up tonight, talk a little bit about the spring game. This year, finally, we got the version I wanted, Brian. We got offense versus defense, which I have been screaming about for years, and we got it. And it was a better game because you saw ones versus ones, even though there weren't a lot of ones on the offensive side of the ball. We'll talk about that in a little while. But, Brian, just from being there in person, because it wasn't a game, but did you like that, or was it a little not enough people there to do it this year?
Do you remember it, Brian?
I do remember it. It's a cloudy memory, but I do remember it. You know what? I like the format better, but without your 2 best quarterbacks, it kind of dulled what the high end of that would look like, because I don't think we saw, even with a limited and a vanilla playbook, as many passes or as a consistent passing game as we would have gotten if you would have had Drones and Pop Watson out there. So I feel like we were kind of took away from the full impact of that. And just as far as atmosphere in general, I mean, I think a lot of the fan base is feeling a little bit like Tally right now. So there wasn't as many people out there, at least not as many people that were willing to sit in 40-degree weather and watch the Hokies play an exhibition game. So the vibes were a little down this year. Still good, but not quite where they had been, last 2 to 3 years. But I think, like I said, I think the format was good, but I think without your quarterbacks, you kind of lost a little bit of the luster there.
Yeah, without a doubt, because obviously, well, first of all, we've said it in the past, and some people get pissed off, Tally, in Shelton, right? Some people are like, well, so-and-so's not playing. Why is he not playing? And we've screamed on this show, like, why do you want to go get him hurt during the spring game? The season ain't till September. So when they said, like, you switch your hands up and it's like, this sucks, I'd love to see him play, but we get it, right?
Yeah. Definitely. I don't know, man. So I guess most of y'all go to the spring game, right? Put in the chat if you go to the spring game. Most if you have been. Like most people, you don't go to the spring game really for the game. I mean, it's cool. You want to see some cool stuff happen, but if you haven't been, I mean, you're going for the vibes. It's a party.
Yeah, it's a party.
You know what I'm saying? We've done the pregame show. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody's there. It's like homecoming. Everybody, you're meeting everybody. You get to eat with a couple of you guys. Did we first meet at the? Did we finally meet face to face at the spring game, Brian?
Yeah,
was that spring game? It was spring game. See,
it was spring game.
It's like been knowing Brian for it feels like a decade at least. Like I thought he could have been a Craigslist killer. I don't know. He could have been fake. I've been talking to this guy and Zooming him for 10 years, but the spring game is what actually brought us together. Yeah. So the spring game is more than just the game. Now, this year's game, vibes are going to be a little bit down just because of last season, things like that. But like Brian said, I mean, it was cold out there. You know what I'm saying? It was just a bad day to have a spring game to get everybody in town. So that's just
I think it's going to end up being the coldest day in April.
Right.
It is. So it's been warm ever since. It was warm the week before. When me and Brian were on the cruise, y'all were getting – it was hot up here, wasn't it, Shelton? Yeah. Like the last few days of March, it was like when we pulled back into Norfolk, it was 88 degrees. It was warm.
Right.
So
she was cooking.
But let's go to it. Let's get to it. Defense dominates 37-21. I was going to talk about like each line. Well, the quarterback, Kyron was out. Pop didn't play. The only guy who got a lot of reps is now in the portal. And so the only thing you can maybe take from it is Keldon Ryan and A.J. Brandt are big, athletic-looking dudes. Oh, there you go. Well, Brian will be at that.
Yep. I'll be back at it.
Oh, shit.
Me, my wife, my son will be there on May 7th, so we're ready.
But so, about the only thing we can take with this from the quarterback room is those two guys look athletically as advertised. I mean, that's it. Can we get anything else from the quarterback room except their potential floors and ceilings were higher than Davie Balfour's? That's why he's in the portal.
I mean, that's basically what I took away from it. Davie definitely looked the most polished from a passing standpoint. Obviously wasn't rattled, was a little more composed. But I think when you look at the athleticism and then, you look at the size of Brand combined with that athleticism, you definitely impressed. And I think that they're looking long-term at those two guys being who they're going to lean on from a long-term perspective at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, I mean, in today's world, it's like if you aren't going to get on the field, you get in the portal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just what college football is. So, especially at the quarterback position, you see somebody that comes in And you can see, I mean, if you've been in any sports, somebody's got it, they got it. If they've already started overtaking you and you really want to get on the field or you really want to be somewhere where you can make a difference, I mean, there's nothing wrong with hitting the portal, man. The portal is what it is. I know it needs some tweaking, but for kids that need to get on the field and, need to try to find a better situation for them, like, I'm cool with it. So no love lost for me for anybody who decides to do something for the future, except Tennessee's quarterback, but we'll talk about that later.
We're gonna talk about that later.
Sheldon, there's just no. I mean, there's one quarterback on the field at a time, and I think it's a position where you want to stack some bodies, but once you find your guy, you're gonna kind of ride with him. Obviously, that's Kyron, so one man out, and there he goes.
Well, the funny piece is we're sitting here and we talk about AJ and Keldon, and it's probably, I'm gonna guess, it's probably gonna be this time next year that, in all likelihood, one of them will probably go to the portal. Unless somebody jumps way up, and I mean, that's just what it is nowadays. But so that's done. Quarterback, we know who the top two guys are. We didn't get to see them, unfortunately. Oh, we didn't get to see them. We got to hear some comments on how they looked and doing a few things, but we got to hold that to ourselves. Let's go to the offensive line, because I think every single person, not only in this podcast, but probably I would say 75 to 80% of Hokie Nation agrees. If we don't improve there, it don't make a hill of beans, a hill of shit. If Kyron plays great, if we can run the ball like crazy with a great running back, wide receivers make unbelievable catches, because the offensive line was below par last year, and this year it's got to be better. Brian, I know you told me starting 5, Johnny Garrett at left tackle, Laith Ganem at left guard, Kyle Altuner snapping center, Montavious Cunningham finally got to play with the ones at right guard, and then obviously Tomas Remack at right tackle. Okay, just straight up, I want to ask, before I get to Brian, Shelton and Tally, y'all look at these guys on the line, do you automatically feel a little bit better than last year, same, or worse?
Sheldon, you want to go or you want me to go?
You go.
So at the spring game last year, we did see Montavious Cunningham get in the game, right?
Yep.
We did. Was it a long screen or something? I seen something happen with him run downfield and make a block at his size. That one play was better than anything that 2 of our starters did through the whole year. So the fact that he couldn't get on the field on a bad offensive line, something wasn't right. I just didn't understand it. So I think it was a little bit of a user error on the coach's part. So I didn't feel like anything we did was going to work. And, long story short, those coaches are gone now. So, yeah, the people that we have now, I feel like it's going to be an upgrade at the line. Even if it's a slight upgrade, I just feel like that we will get some better play, or we'll move on to somebody else if we don't get better play, which is what I don't feel we did last year. Everybody knows this. We don't want to sound like a broken record, but somebody messes up and sacks his own quarterback, he stays in the game, it's fucking dumb. So, my opinion, think we'll be better there just for that. And I know the coaching is better. Like, I don't have to go into a whole bunch of extra videos and talking and things like that. That coach is better than the coach we had because of what he's done. That's it.
Sheldon?
Yeah, I mean, I think Remack alone kind of makes them better, and obviously with the coaching too. Like, as I've sort of reflected on last year, I think, needless to say, we were not getting the most out of our potential under Matt Moore's predecessor, to say the least. So I think, but you got some young guys coming in this year, so it's like, I think you're muted, Curtis, by the way. I think it'll be a situation where they start off, kind of slow and sort of figure out, just kind of what, how they play together, and there'll be some growing pains. But I think by the end of the year, hopefully with good coaching, they'll kind of gel together. But it's going to take some time, just with how much youth there is there. And again, that's what happens when you ignore O-line recruiting for 2 years, which is a conversation for another day. But that's what happened. So we're stuck with it.
Brian, You were there, obviously taking a little mental notes, obviously having people talk with. Give me a couple guys what you saw, what you like from each.
Yeah, I was taking mental notes during the game. That's what
You were taking mental notes during the game.
No, I mean, so looking at the game, looking back at the game, you got Johnny G, you got Ganem, you got Altuner, you got Cunningham, you got Remack. I mean, Remack held up pretty good in pass pro. Looking back at the tape, looked pretty good in the run game. Ganem was still kind of up and down. I like some of what I saw. Had a couple whiffs that they're gonna happen, but I'd like to see him clean that up absolutely between now and fall. Altuner lost control on a couple combo blocks, but still held up pretty well across the board, especially in pass pro. I like him better in pass pro than what we had last year. We'll see if he's got that more mentality in the trenches in the run. But I mean, he held up a little bit better in pass pro than the Moors did last year. I'm interested to see how Johnny Garrett holds up at left. I think he did a pretty good job in the spring game, but I don't think there was a ton of interesting stuff thrown at him where he may have had to make some decisions or there needed to be some communication from the center or anything like that. So I think it's still a wait and see. I'm cautiously optimistic on the offensive line, especially compared to last year. I think this is a group that, from a talent standpoint, is better than what we had last year. I just don't think that there's any single player on this line as good as Xavier Chaplin, and that's my only concern really at this point.
I got you. All right, who was the second group real quick?
So we saw Lynch, Nida, Tommy Ricard, Bob Schick, and Lucas Austin in that second group.
Transfer. So, and that leads into this. So the second group, two of them are already in the portal, along with Webb Davidson, whose name you didn't see. And I think that says something. Brian, we were talking. You said you don't believe you ever recall seeing Brody Meadows. So, again, I ain't going to tell everybody who's hurt or nicked up. So, but if you're telling me, this is just like the way I feel about it. If you're telling me they have told Bob Schick to kick rocks with the guy who has played as much as he has over the last 2 years, then to me, that's like a new leaf turning over, right? Because, he's solid in pass, not the best in run, but he's a good body out there when you need one. If you're telling me they you need to go on, you need to go on elsewhere, then that says a lot to me. Also, Caleb Nida, who snapped the balls in the bowl game, is gone. It tells me Tommy Ricard is probably looking a lot better this time too.
I think he was definitely nicked up at the bowl games. I think some of that was an emergency situation, and some of that may have just been, the current situation we're dealing with, and wanting to see what other guys could do in that bowl game. I don't know exactly what they were thinking for that, but
all in all, we're Tally Sheldon. Were either of y'all shocked, especially with Schick? When I sent y'all that tweet yesterday, and it's like Bob Schick's in the portal.
Nope.
You weren't shocked. No, y'all weren't shocked. Okay.
Nope. I was happy.
Oh, well.
Get him out of here. Get out of here. Get on out of here. See, this is my thing. If you're going to be sorry, at least be sorry with young guys. I don't want to see old guys doing the same thing. Like, if you're my age and you still making the same mistake, you ain't going to teach no old dog new tricks. Get the fuck on. Get out. Like, if you tell me you got a line full of freshmen or freshmen and sophomore, they'll make a mistake and missing blocks, hey, man, we might have to live with that. That's growing pains. So that's I'm okay with that last year. If we
27 years old, still missing the combo block, you ain't going to ever make the combo block.
You're never going to get the combo block if you're missing it at 26, 25. Man, get a job. Get your LinkedIn page right.
Get that cover letter going.
Get that cover letter going, man. Call you somebody.
Update the CV, baby.
Man, chat GPT it. Get your resume. Get your resume right so you can. And most of these, I'm making jokes, but most of these guys, when they're that old, especially if you've been at Virginia Tech, you probably got a good ass degree. Mm-hmm. Man, go make some money.
At this point, he's got at least two.
I know a lot of people in North Alabama that's got this walking around and driving around with Virginia Tech tags that I know don't watch a lick of football because they're Virginia Tech grads and they are engineers, and their grass probably looks perfect because they go out there and cut it with like freaking scissors and stuff like that. And they're probably rich because they make so much money with their engineering degree. Go make you some money, man. You ain't going to be good at football. Every now and then they'll call you and say, hey, we need you to come back and lead the cheer going into the fourth quarter. Come do that. Let's go, Hokies. Get the fuck off the field. That's the only time you need to be on the field. You don't never need to put a helmet on. So, no disrespect to the people who left.
Hey, but we got a tally deep cut here from Jim. I like this. We got a tally deep cut. He knows. He knows about the internet, man.
I seen that, man. My internet's been. You know what? My internet's been doing better too. I'm happy.
We know it has. I don't think we've lost you in months.
I was say I don't think y'all lost me since I went to Google Fiber, man. I'm giving Google Fiber a shout out. If y'all are with AT&T, ditch them and go to Google Fiber. Google Fiber, man. They put me 2 routers in here. Extender, whatever you call it, man. We've been good to go.
Hey, not a sponsor, but y'all could be if Google give us a call.
Google, come on, man, give us the call.
All right. Well, let's keep rolling and kind of off the offensive line a little bit, but staying with it. This is like the transition point. Brian, we know, and we talked about it a couple times over the last few months about Matt Moore's scheme. It's some outside, it's zone kind of going on the outside, it's gap inside. Did you see that? And did you like what it did on the inside?
Yeah, what they're doing is they're mixing up a lot of that kind of split zone with the counters. So you got the H-back in there, and sometimes they're going across, sometimes they're walling, they're kicking back out away from the run. So there's a lot of different things that they're doing with that tight end, that H-back, that gives them a lot of opportunities, both inside and outside. But we're going to see a lot more pulling in this system inside. I mean, power and variations of power are going to be kind of the bread and butter of the inside run for this team.
Y'all know what I did, man, for like 15 minutes and didn't mean to do it. I was going through my day at work, YouTube just so happened pops up. I pull up a video of Stephen Peoples' highlights from whatever year that was, 2018 maybe.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Our line was like Stephen Peoples was going to get you like 5 yards. Like he wasn't tooting or nothing like that. But I was watching the O-line during that, and it's on YouTube. I think it was like a 10 or 12 minute highlight video of Stephen Peoples. Shout out to Stephen Peoples, hard-nosed football player. But the offensive line getting like 4 and 5 yards just to, punching the ball in and stuff. I'm like, man, what has this been? We ain't even got a line to do this. And this wasn't even good. You know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't even like one of the best lines. But at the same time, you just look at the physicality and things like that. It's much different than what we've seen. So I'm very interested and excited to see what Moore can do and what he brings to the table. Because like I said, I mean, he's a proven coach. Like, I'm going to be mad no matter what, just because that's what I want to be right now until I see something. But I do know that I will say the coaching staff that we have, I feel like is better at just about every facet than we were last year. This is probably Brent Pry's best coaching staff in my mind. So, as a whole. So I'm interested, man.
It is. And you mentioned about the run game. I mean, again, this is vanilla, and take credit what you will, but we did average a little over 4.5, 4.7 a carry. The kid from Coastal ran good. Bennett ran the best. Yeah, Braden Bennett, like 75 yards on 11 carries. But again, it's so weird because he's probably not going to get that many carries in a game.
Right.
No.
And it's probably going to be Stewart and probably with a little bit of Hawkins, and Bennett's going to be probably all over the place. So
you'll mix in Coney and Mason behind him, but I mean it's going to mostly be Stewart and Hawkins.
Yeah. So again, we don't know. We didn't see effectively what we probably wanted to see from the run game, because without Kyron, without Pop, with having that element of the quarterback run, which we know is going to happen, you don't know what it's going to do. And we know the defense in some ways was playing vanilla, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But what did kind of pop was you can always see the difference between me watching like film and with somebody or things like that with somebody who knows what's going on is wide receivers are easy to watch. You can see, oh, these are the routes they're running. Oh, he just went, that was a double post route with a little drag behind it or a little in routed behind it. And I think, Brian, obviously the big play was Cam Seldon from Aiden Green. Cam Seldon showing his athleticism, showing his speed downfield. But in your eyes, who else popped in that? And was there anything as you were watching, again, probably a very vanilla offense, that you kind of like, oh, I like that. I like that. If we can do things like that with the full core, we're going to probably move the ball some this year.
Yeah, but I mean, both greens look pretty solid, even though they didn't necessarily get a ton of action. Looking at how they were doing, like blocking, I was impressed with Donovan Green outside. He did pretty well with the blocking. So I mean, we saw a lot of that. We got to evaluate that a little bit. We saw Seldon on the wheel with the double pass from Aiden Green. That was the home run play. Saw Wiggins out there. He looked pretty good, pretty solid. I mean, I know he kind of bobbled that diving catch and ended up in the pick six. But I thought he made a really good dive to try to get that. That was a pretty poorly thrown ball that was almost a catch there. Unfortunately, it went the other way. Route concepts, we saw a lot of drags, shallow ends, hitches, and then you're going to take some deeper shots off of that. So it's going to be a lot of stuff kind of in that 3 to 7 yard range with the catch. And the thing that I saw a lot is that there were a lot of those that were open that the quarterback didn't get to for one reason or another. And some of it was happy feet. Some of it was just not getting through progressions quickly enough. So, there was a lot of opportunities and a lot of yards that were left on the field in the passing game that, if you've got a Pop out there, if you've got a Kyron out there, you might end up seeing a little bit more on the stat sheet than you saw from this wide receiver group.
Definitely. Yeah,
only a couple passes behind the line of scrimmage, Josh. Don't worry. Not too many. Unfortunately, one of them got sniffed out real quick by Knowledge Harrell, who we'll talk about in a little bit. He had himself a pretty good game.
Yeah, I heard. And so, just like Brian was saying, so pretty much the two quarterbacks we had in the game, for the most part, right, were supposed to be seniors in high school. So Brandon and Ryan is supposed to be in high school, right?
Yeah, for about 2/3 of the game, that's the guys that were in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to get what you're going to get there, but we need our guys to be healthy moving in if we want to make some noise moving into the next year. But Ryan, you kind of hit the nail on the head, like you said. If you had the top two guys, you may have got to see a little bit more out of the wide receiver room. And the wide receiver room's been banged up as well. You got some of the wide receivers that aren't there as well right now. So I'm interested just to see, what route they go, how they use Takai Heath, things like that this year. I'm very interested to see what they do with that room and who is going to step up to, be that third guy or that fourth guy and stuff like that. And I didn't watch much of the game. I haven't watched much of it because, like I said, it doesn't really matter to me right now. And I don't want to just be on there critiquing because I'm mad. But I did see hear about it and see the pick that Wiggins bobbled. And for him, being a young player, man, it's going to be so good when he can make those plays because that's going to be taking the next step for him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to be fighting to get playing time, going to be fighting to get on the field. So when he gets to the level where he can pull those 50-50 balls in, it's going to help the team, but also going to help him. So it's interested just to see, what happens moving forward through the summer, who's going to step up because, it always happens. Somebody's going to stay the same. somebody's going to step up. Somebody's going to fall off. Somebody's going to get injured. Don't want nobody to get injured, but I'm interested to see kind of how those kids and how that room progresses.
All right. Let me Sheldon's looking up something real quick. Hopefully we can find in the next couple minutes. But I want to ask y'all this, because last year, do y'all know who our leading receiver was?
Mason. Who was it?
Was it Jay Lane?
Jalen Lane.
Y'all know how many catches he had?
Probably 35.
39. Close enough, Tally. So here's my question for y'all is, with this new offense coming in, how many the leading receiver this year will have how many receptions? Because I'm gonna throw it back. Don't look at Auburn, because to Tally's point, that won't Philip Montgomery's offense at Auburn. He got hijacked. Last time he coached a collegiate football team, his top 3 guys were as follows: 76, 53, and 37. And it was 2 tied at 37. So y'all think about it real quick. I'm gonna let Sheldon go last here. Actually, Sheldon, go first. How many receptions will the leading wide receiver have this year?
35.
He's gonna go 35. He's staying low. Tally?
I'll probably say 47.
Let's go with 52. That's a nice round number.
Oh, that's your favorite number, isn't it, buddy? See, I'm leaning with Brian here, because if you look at the offenses that he ran, it's balanced. That's the first thing. Everybody says he's a pass-heavy guy. No, he's not. Most of the time, about 400 pass attempts, about 400 rush attempts. So it's pretty balanced. And I think, again, from what Brian's describing, think about some of those easy underneath routes, drag routes, shallow ends. You'll see him where he'll have hook-up guys out in the flats. I'm tempted to say maybe plus 52, Brian, maybe almost 60. Because if you think a guy like Donovan Green, who's played for like 14 years in collegiate football, which is pretty impressive that he's been able to do that. Somebody said he needs to shave the mustache. Somebody make that shit and save the mustache. I'm going to go hit him, because that mustache is on point, in my opinion. It is. That thing is distinguished. It looks beautiful. Like, keep the mustache. But if you think somebody like a Donovan Green, who's been at Wake for a few years, and you know his skill set, and then you start thinking about, well, Chand, and you think about Selden, and you think about all these guys, it's like, I think there is someone, if we run the offense that we should run, then I think somebody could wind up with close to 60. That's just my opinion, like understanding it. And I look at Donovan Green, who is down in Wake's offense. I think he might be the guy, but I just feel like there's going to be someone that does something crazy with receptions next year.
Yeah, I feel like just me. And again, man, I promise you, I'm not like wishing anything on nobody, but somebody who's been injured is kind of, they're injury prone. I don't want to use that word, but like, I can only judge the future by the past for the most part. So If you've been getting injured most of the time, like, I don't want to say this is going to be your year. You're not going to get injured. I just got to have in my head that what will we do if this person isn't able to finish the season, or this person has to miss some games. So in my opinion, the person, if I'm going to think about who would be the leading receiver, it's got to be Aiden Green. It's got to be Aiden Green. He's got to be the guy. He's going to be the most versatile. He's going to be the one who has taken the most snaps at Virginia Tech. It's probably going to be the one that coaches rely on most, even though I know he did get new coaching. But the head coach is still the same. So Aiden Green is probably going to be the guy that they rely on the most, unless somebody just gets open and we're able to get him the ball. All comes down to offensive line. We know all that. But I can say you have some guys that you can use different ways this year. I just hope they use them right. Because if you use a guy like Brody Adams when he comes back, Keelan Adams, don't kill me. Keelan Adams, Keelan Adams when he comes back, right? I said watching him in the bowl game when he took that, pass, it's like or that end around, it's like he's faster than that. Like, I've seen him run a lot of routes, and I've seen him run he's fascinated. Well, I didn't know he was having knee problems. He wasn't 100%. So when you get a kid like that, or even Takai Heath is real, quick twitch.
Yeah.
You get him in a little bit of space, he can do some things. So those are going to be some guys that may eat up some, 10 yard or 10 passes around the line of scrimmage. But also, you got to have somebody who can take the top off. So who did we use to take the top off last year? Any of y'all? Felton.
Kinda.
Yeah, Felton. So, in my opinion, nothing wrong with Felton, but Felton isn't even your fastest guy. Like, that's not your take the top off guy. We never put Jay Lane in the position. And again, the quarterback didn't have much time to throw the ball, but Jay Lane's a 4-2 guy. Hey, you just run and let's see if we can throw it to you. We didn't do that a lot. Like, even when they were talking about it during the combine, it was like, well, Virginia Tech didn't use him to do this a lot, but he's super fast. And again, he was hurt as well. But I'm just hoping, with all this rambling, I'm just hoping that the new offensive coordinator comes in and uses the pieces where they need to be used. I'm okay with each guy getting 10 catches if they're productive 10 catches.
There you go.
Put this guy here, let him do what he does good. Put this guy here, let him do what he does. Cam Selton, right? He's a track guy that came from from being a running back. He's probably not going to be the most crisp route runner, but he should be one of the fastest guys on the team. Probably going to put him on a deep route and see if we can throw him the ball and not try to put him on some complicated this and that. I don't know, man. Y'all know how I felt about our old offensive coordinator, so we know. There, so.
All right, Sheldon, break it to us. So does Philip Montgomery offenses, what's the percentages behind the line of scrimmage?
So I had to reduce the number of attempts because they throw so infrequently behind the line of scrimmage. So the last 2 years at Tulsa, where Montgomery had control of the offense, Davis Brin was dead last among all FBS quarterbacks in percentage of throws behind the line. So it was around 5.6%. They do not throw behind the line. Davis Brin was our quarterback. He was pretty good. They got injured at the tail end of that 22 season, but put up some pretty big numbers. They pass a lot, but they just don't go behind the line. So it was kind of 5.6% for Josh Young was commenting. So about 1 out of every 20 throws. So which isn't really. I mean,
that's a big switch up from what we saw from Tebow.
Yeah, you don't say a lot. And it gets to what our friend Chris Coleman was saying, which is like we don't necessarily know how well Montgomery fits our personnel. So like Kyron, a guy like him, at least in 2023, a lot of his success was predicated on, throws behind the line of scrimmage, getting guys in space, using the skill guys, using their speed on the perimeter, and setting up big plays with blocking. And they did some of that too last year, not as effectively. But that's the way Kyron was used effectively. So I don't know if we're going to how that kind of contrast is really gonna mesh well next year. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, I think
we saw a couple, like looking at the spring game tape, we saw really a couple that you would consider they were either behind the line or designed to be behind the line of scrimmage plays that I remember. You had kind of a zone RPO that you could really kind of drop out to the H-back that was coming across, kind of that split zone RPO. Ultimately, they didn't throw it, but that would have been a behind the line of scrimmage opportunity. And then they threw a swing pass that got ate up by Knowledge Harrell. That's the only 2 plays that I remember in the spring game that were like true behind the line of scrimmage designs. And I think something like that is probably what you're going to see from a behind the line of scrimmage standpoint. There's not going to be a true screen look. You're definitely not going to get any screens to the tight end like we saw a plethora of under Tebow. So expect maybe like, swings and maybe some of that RPO in the split zone kind of really being the only, couple that you'll see from time to time. Obviously with the caveat that they might, change it up and add a little additional color to that as we get further into the playbook.
Yeah, and then one real quick point. I just put a cap on that. So I looked up for Kyron's numbers last year. We were good throwing behind the line in 2023, but 2024 was really bad. We were dead last in the FBS and passer rating on throws behind the line. So for Brian, I don't know how much of that was maybe guys not hitting their blocks. How much of that was defense is starting to key on those plays more, because I think when you have a full year of film, you can kind of identify that. And so maybe Tech was predictable in terms of how they structure the passing game. That could have been the case. So again,
Callie said that.
Yeah.
I remember y'all saying that about, I don't say 8 games into the season. It's like people, I think it was a combination of everybody saying Tebow did not build. Like, you have these plays that are good. You can't keep just going to that. You have to put new stuff in, or what you just said right there happens, Shelton, where you go from a solidly successful team on passes behind the line of scrimmage to, Jesus Christ, we can't get anything done behind the line of scrimmage, where last year we throw a pop pass, we get 15 yards. This year we can't do anything. So
and I like screens. I mean, I know Josh doesn't, but I like screens. But I was screened out. I was screened out.
Well, because it was the same screens all the time. It wasn't variations.
We didn't try to hide them.
Yeah,
we just tried it out there. It looked like my son's team was playing. They had him playing quarterback, telling him, "Hey, throw the ball to 72. Hey, throw the ball to 10." I'm like, that ain't no freaking offense. The other team probably hears you. You're supposed to be a high level college football coach and team. We didn't look like that. I think Shelton hit the nail on the head when he said something about, I don't know how much of it was predicated on passing. On blocking. Let me tell you, all of it was predicated on blocking, which we didn't do good.
Nope.
The people we had blocking wasn't blocking worth of shit at all. Ever. Ever. We were stepping on the quarterback. And guess what? I'm all for a coach changing his system to fit his players. That's what I think a good coach is. Not an Alabama fan. I'm a Nick Saban fan. Nick Saban would change offense or defense to fit his players. Y'all remember when Alabama used to turn around and run the ball like 100 times a game? And then they start getting these quarterbacks that could move and throw on the run and do all this stuff. And Alabama fans were still, I was like, you know what, man, that's a good coach. He hired some people who trained with the times. I want to see that done. And then if your players ain't getting it done, it's okay to sit them down. Hey, buddy, you can't throw the ball. You're a quarterback. Come over here and watch the game with me. You got the best seats in the house. Let's put this kid in and see what he can do. That's what I think should happen, but I'm not the coach. I ain't making millions of dollars. So hoping that's what they do.
All righty. So there's a little bit of the offense in what we've seen. Obviously, we got to wait months now. But let's flip over to the defense, because the defense had a highly successful day, because, it won't many people who aren't going to be starters that were not there. Like, they were full in force. They were running extra vanilla because, Brian, I believe you or Robbie mentioned, like, they need blitz. Like, they didn't even do blitzes, which we know.
They had a handful of zone blitzes. That's about all they did. They didn't bring any, like, heavy pressures on passing downs or anything like that. Usually if they brought pressure, they were essentially trading out who was coming and who wasn't. But they were still only rushing 4, maybe 5 at the most. So, yeah, it was pretty vanilla.
True. All right. Let's get into it. Let's just talk about, obviously, everybody's focused on the safeties. Brian, you were there. You saw it in person. You looked at a little bit of the game. Who's the best of all the guys that we brought in?
Yeah, looking at that safety group, Christian Ellis has stood out to me as looking the best. He's going to be a ball hawk. When I look at him, I saw him. There was one where he jumped a route and Davi almost threw it, and he pulled it back, ended up taking a sack. But he was going to be there. He was ready to. It would have been a pick six. It would have been a beautiful thing if Davi would have thrown that one. He looked really good. He was in every place he needed to be that I could tell. And he did a good job, as good of a job in coverage as he did in assisting in the run game. So he's definitely the guy that I think is going to be the most impact player of the new guys on the defense so far, as far as the safety position is concerned.
All right. And then what did it look like? Were we mixing and matching? And, it's pretty much, is this going to be all the new guys with Quinn Reddish? Is that pretty much going to be the room?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, so we really saw 5 guys out there. We saw Ellis and Flowers kind of in group 1. Koval and Cash were in group 2. Johnson mixed in there. When Reddish is healthy, he's going to mix in there. Obviously, Johnson is no longer in that group, but that's probably the 5 that we're looking at. We're looking at Ellis, Flowers, Koval, Cash with Reddish kind of mixing in there as well. I don't know whether he'll be in group 1 or group 2 or kind of mixing in with group 2, but he'll be in that mix as well.
All right. Now, let's talk about the coverage stuff, because I know you looked at it and Robbie saw it and we chatted a little bit about it. I think the one thing that has me probably excited about the defense is it's a disguised defense. And I remember Robbie messaged me after he saw spring game, or messaged me and you, Brian. He's like, they look like they're in cover 2 shell right here. And the next thing you know, they in cover 3. They're going to run a single high. And the next thing you know, they're in cover 2. How did that look? Because it looks, from the way you described it to me and the way Robbie was describing, and Tally, I know you haven't watched as much, but from you playing, it seems like that back end is almost, we can show you anything, but we can get to whatever we want to confuse you.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, it was really, I think we're going to cause some teams some problems. I think also, with adding that additional complexity to the coverage, you're at risk that if somebody doesn't get a call or somebody isn't quite where they need to be, you blow a coverage. But what I'm seeing is that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to confuse some quarterbacks. And I like that it looks like it's a very simplistic way of disguising the coverage, because it's usually just it's kind of a replace situation, or you've got a match call, and depending on where things go, one guy can pick up the wide out and stay with him. There was a lot of interesting ways that they mixed in the coverages. I mean, we saw a lot of cover 3, usually some cover 2, some cover 1. They went to cover 6 a couple times, but I think majority we're going to see 2 and get 3, and then 3 and get 2. That's kind of going to be the bread and butter. But I think that's going to cause some guys some problems, especially because when you mix in the zone blitz with that, I think that's going to cause quarterbacks some headaches, because they're now having to adjust their brain of where they want to go with the football, because the coverage is shifted up, and now they got a pressure coming from here that they didn't see.
Josh says, does what Ellis, does the broken wrist set him back? Somebody broke their wrist?
When did he break his wrist? I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, I ain't know nothing about that.
Hey,
drop the link, Josh, for us.
I don't think it sets him back too much. I mean, usually a wrist.
But have you heard about it?
I haven't.
I haven't either.
Usually that's a 4 to 6 week recovery, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, he might not be in summer workouts the way you want him to, but I think he'll be good to go for the fall.
Who did French say was trash? French said somebody was garbage.
Trench hated Cash.
No. I don't think it was Cash. I thought it was Flowers.
Yeah, it was Flowers.
Yeah,
that's
the guy. That's the kid from Rice, right?
Rice, yeah.
What did he look like, Brian?
I mean, I thought he looked pretty good. He didn't look bad. He's doing a lot of the. He's playing deeper more often than not. So like when he's back in coverage, he's playing deeper, or he's matching up in man.
French, they on your ass. Flowers is on your ass, buddy. He is gonna prove you wrong. Got a picture of you up in his locker right now.
He took a locker. He snapped a picture.
Yeah. Speaking of locker,
during the show.
He watched the podcast. He's like, all right, bet.
We have a new locker room yet.
No.
It's coming though.
It's coming. We're gonna have
I've heard that for 3 years though.
I think it's true this year. That's why I was asking.
We edging the fuck out of this locker room. What we doing?
we keep pulling it back for NIL money.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it this year.
Your picture gonna be up in that new locker room, buddy boy. You better get stuff together.
Brian, you mentioned Harrell a couple times.
Yep.
Playing the nickel. We know IBM is the nickel guy too. I mean, is that base? Do you think?
I mean, we were in nickel pretty much the whole game.
Okay.
Which, I mean, against the spread look, it makes sense. Like you're that's kind of what you expect. You know, we switched up the front a little bit. Sometimes it was more that true, 2-4 look. Sometimes it was an odd look with a hanger. So it just kind of depended on what they were going. But I mean, the back end was pretty consistent there. You had IBM, Brown Murray was kind of the first nickel out there, but Knowledge Harrell was the number 2, and I was really impressed with the way he played in the spring game.
I didn't even watch it. I know he was going to be a dog. Supposed to be in high school too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was out there. I mean, he was making some plays. He was where he was supposed to be, under control. Didn't look like he was, a guy that was going to overrun a play or anything like that. He did really well.
All right. Obviously, the news you mentioned, Braylon Johnson being on here. Braylon Johnson now in the portal. I mean, am I shocked? No, because of everything that happened with the change, but it's also, it's that point too, where eventually you got to be able to play, which I think Braylon Johnson is going to be able to play college football somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think no longer, somebody think about this. It's like, we're not going to just save a spot just because of where you went to high school or who your daddy is. Or
I think you can give a show me offer and let them get on campus and show what they can do, but you're not going to hold it for 4 years.
There you go.
Just because, and looking at that, I mean, the concern that we had with Braylon Johnson coming in is that he was kind of a tweener.
Yep.
He's a cornerback that, we essentially had at safety. Wasn't quite as fast, as fleet of foot as you would like to see from a corner. Kind of wasn't as physical and as good doing the things that you have to do as a safety that we wanted to see. Especially, I mean, when we look at coming up and making plays in the run game. I mean, there was a lot of whiffs from Johnson in that last year. We saw a couple things that went on in the spring game as well. It's just one of those things where at some point, if you're not moving up the depth chart, you got to make a decision. And I think some conversations were had that said, "Hey, you're gonna be the sixth guy, and you're already working on your third year in this program." What are we looking at here?
Read, Jim.
Said the new locker rooms will be the old locker room with wallpapered in boundary corner quotes.
I hope so. Hey, I hope.
I do not hope. No.
If anything's gonna motivate them kids to play, it's gonna be our quotes, man.
It's gonna be our quotes. God. Oh Lord,
that's what you want. We will live in infamy in that shitty ass locker room.
This is something that I'll ask Curtis.
I'm gonna tell you. Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Y'all is on one in the chat tonight. Yeah. Oh, y'all is on one. Go ahead.
They ramped up. They
are ramped up.
Curtis, this is what I'll ask though, because I don't know for sure. I have not been on Twitter for real, or X, or whatever you want to call it, X videos. I don't know what we call it today. But is Braylon Johnson is a grad transfer, right? Did he get his degree in like 3 years or 2 years?
He got it in 2.5.
I think he did.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome for him though. To leave with a degree and leave as a grad transfer, like that's good. That's pretty good.
That's damn good. But yeah, and I'm on mute.
There's like 30 of them quotes in the locker room.
Right.
Oh, God. All right.
Thankfully, we don't have any more. We lost tally.
Right.
We lost Tally. We lost Tally.
They said, Brian, you're on mute.
Brian.
I mean,
Gosh.
Curtis, you're on mute. That's what it said.
Am I on mute? I ain't on mute.
No, you're not on mute, but I'm just saying.
That's what y'all got to do. Well, it's the cord over here. All right, real quick. Kick the linebackers. McDonald and Fleming gone. Same thing. Both McDonalds are gone. Cam Fleming's gone. Tried to make the move to linebacker. Didn't work out. But, Brian, I think from what we've seen and reading, it's pretty much Keller Woodson, George Balance. Shout out George Balance. And Caleb Spencer, right?
Hey, man. So, yeah, there was some fun rotations at linebacker. The usual suspects. You had Keller, you had Woodson. Hang on, where's the
Oh no, I got you.
Josh Young. Josh Young
on one.
Put it in there.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Anyway, 3-time spring ball MVP, Jaden Keller in the starting rotation at Mike. Woodson playing the other backer there. He had Balance and Spencer in there as well. I wouldn't say concerned, but like I'd like one more in the portal. I think that's kind of my big takeaway from seeing this group, and I think they will hold up just fine. But I don't think I think maybe even we'll see some additional some better play compared to last year. But I'd still like to maybe get another body in that room that has some experience in the portal as we're moving forward. And I think, looking at the offers we've thrown out there, that's not the only I'm not the only person thinking that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think what you said, we can live with it, but depth is depth, right? And, Keller's gone after this year. I believe Balance is gone after this year too. So if anything, bringing the other guy in, you kind of are setting yourself up for the future. And I don't know. Spring, to me, fuck the spring portal. Spring portal needs to go away. I'm just going to be real. Spring portal needs to go away. That's just my feeling. You want to do it, it needs to be sometime after the bowl games. But after the national championship, it starts here. It's like 2 weeks. That's it. Then do it. Spring portal fucks too much shit up, which we're going to talk about later. All right. Sheldon, you're back. Sheldon, people are very worried about you out here. Very worried about you that potentially did you get Tally's internet? Are you on Tally's internet?
I did not get Tally's internet. I had to take care of some business, got some water, and now I'm back.
Okay. Let's go to defensive alignment because I think again after safeties, the only thing we kind of don't know is what the defensive alignment looks like. Again, looking at and Shelton, you wrote stuff on this, you've read about it. Cephas can do anything. That's the whole thing. He does not care. To me, he is not married to any one idea. He's not married to any one idea. Front, looks, all this stuff, which I really like because you have to play through the personnel you have there. And from what it looked like on Saturday 2 weeks ago, it's going to look like that this year. So y'all, we wrote some notes when we chatted with each other. What did y'all like seeing out of all this as far as the alignments go?
I mean, I like that we're kind of adapting the alignment based on the way that the offense wants to attack us. So we can really be flexible to what they do and take that away. I think that's one of the benefits of being multiple is that you may not be a hammer at everything or at one specific thing, but you're like, all right, you're a drill at pretty much everything. Like you can handle some stuff here. You can put some stuff in. So there's a benefit of not really having as many holes or weaknesses relative to what an offense is trying to do from a scheme standpoint. Again, the downside is that, if you are really good in one area, you lose a little bit of that high end in that specific spot, but it gives you a lot more flexibility with different looks, adapting to personnel a lot quicker, and adapting to what a certain scheme is going to throw at you.
I got you. And you go ahead and hit us up here. Who was where? And did you like where everybody was, or is it one of those things like, should this guy really be on this?
Say that one more time.
So tell us who was where, and is there anything you disagreed with? Was there anybody, when you saw them line up at a certain technique, you were like, should he really be there right now? Or were you like, you know what, makes sense, got to live with it because of what you got?
All right, so let's do a rundown of the defensive line real quick and kind of where they were, what they were in, and things like that, and then I can talk about what I don't really agree with, I guess. So primarily, what we had interior 2-eye, and then you had a 3 or a 4-eye opposite that on the inside, kind of that wide 9 or an angled 7 look from the defensive ends. Typically, depending on whether there was a tight end either overhang or in line on their side or not. You had Jonkum on one side, Burgos on the other at the outside linebacker positions. Jonkum had his hand in the dirt about 50% of the time, maybe not quite that. Stand up the rest of the time. A lot of times, hand was in the dirt on those early downs. Gilliam and Copeland were at the 2-eye and the 3, 4-eye, depending on the alignment there, respectively, in the first group. You had Laws and Nash in the second group in those same spots. And then the third group was Evans and Priester. And that's kind of where I was like, hang on, you got Priester at the 3. And then you got Evans at the 2-eye. I was a little shocked to see that. Probably Priester was the one that impressed me the least in that group.
Okay.
I thought he was really good at eating up some blocks. He didn't really shed well. He wasn't going to be an impact player as far as like shooting a gap or anything like that. He's very much a guy that's going to eat blocks and let Woodson and Keller, guys behind him, feast a little bit. But he's not going to really be that dynamic player that we saw with Aeneas Peoples, right? So don't expect that from Priester, at least not this year. Copeland flashed a little bit more of that. Obviously, he's higher up in the depth chart, but he flashed a little bit more of that. I like seeing Laws mix in there with Nash. I think that's going to be a pretty good combination behind Gilliam and Copeland. And seeing Evans get that much run, this early in his career was, promising as well for his future development.
Well, Evans, y'all weren't on a couple weeks ago. Evans checked in 6'2", 290. Dang. And again, that kid's supposed to be going to prom next week, not be that 6'2", 290 coming in. He's got the chip because remember, he won the Under Armour stuff up in Maryland, didn't get bumped at all, where he should have probably been a 4-star. That is what it is. But speaking of defensive line, let's pivot real quick to this. One of the McDonald twins is out, but today we got a commitment from Cody Huseman, defensive tackle.
Pronunciation to be determined, but
that's what I see it as. If anybody's got it, put it in Chat GPT and make it happen. But defensive tackle, I think Brian, when y'all, first of all, Tally got mad and it's like, I need someone I know. That's the first thing you texted, Tally. He got upset about it.
Tally was conflicted because Tally's like, we finally got a green box there. Shout out Colby Crawford. We finally got a green box, but it's not somebody I know.
Nope. I want another Aeneas Peoples. I know that's going to be hard, but give me a proven guy. That's why I was at that time. I calmed down a little bit, but I'm still mad. Like, if you want to go to the next level, you got to get some next level guys. This guy going to be a next level guy. And I'm excited about Ben Bale. I'd like to see the Fire twins on the field at the same time. I know he's not there yet, so that'll be good. they got some good stuff going. Brian brought me back down to earth a little bit. It might have been Curtis. They have been doing. They've done pretty good in the portal. So I got to give them a little bit of leeway. You know, a lot of the people that we brought in through the portal, I think somebody even said it earlier, talking about, you know, we wouldn't have got APR if we didn't have a portal at certain times, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what we can do if we go after anybody else, who leaves, who stays, all of that stuff.
We didn't kick enough people off. We got some room. We better go after some people.
Yeah, definitely.
The big thing I'll say about him I like is experience. I mean, he played 16 games last year. He played a bunch of games the year before. And he redshirted a couple years ago. And he's like 6'4". He's like 290. And I think, Brian, you made the point. I can't remember where you put it, but you said this is just good for Priester because this gives Priester now does not have to be forced into action.
Yeah.
Priester can, we know his weight and size now. Well, now it's like, let's focus on technique with him, which is good, which is what needs to happen with him.
And I think his movement too, like I think if he can get a little bit more explosive, like even if, you know, and that may be sizing down even just a little bit from where he's at. But yeah, I think if he can get a little bit more explosive from working in the weight room, doing some conditioning, things like that, I think he could really, you know, make some noise. But I don't think he's quite there yet. This gives us some flexibility. That really gives us, you know, at least 5, maybe 6 guys if Evans continues to progress that you can kind of rely on in the middle there.
Sean, anything on him? I don't know if you looked up stats or anything about his play on PFF.
Yeah, I just did. He was the 19th highest graded FCS interior lineman out of almost 500, so it's pretty good. You guys may recall Arius Nash, who we also signed a little while ago, the DT from Mercer. He was number 5 highest graded DT. So we got 2 of the top 20 FCS defensive tackles, which is pretty good. I mean, I know it's FCS, but like, you know, just the reality is, like, you know, when you're a program like VT, you kind of got to find those, you know, those smaller school guys, like those diamonds in the rough. And I think the staff has done a good job of trying to get those guys that come from winning programs, you know, that kind of know, you know, just about that, they have that work ethic and, you know, have to kind of punch above their weight a little bit, trying to get guys like that. So I think it's a pretty good pickup.
Sean, that's a great point to make, is about the winning program thing, because Mercer, 11-3 last year, made it deep in the FCS playoffs. Obviously, you know, North Dakota State is the best of the FCS, and last year, I believe, they won it last year, right?
Yep, they beat Montana State.
They beat Montana State. They were 14-2. So it's like, you know, they're good football. It's effectively, can they elevate to come to the highest level where everybody's just as good across from you? And I think, again, Tally, you mentioned a little bit earlier, that's the best thing about the portal now for these guys, because these guys would be looked at, but now if they come up and they absolutely ball this year at Tech, they're going to get drafted probably. You know, you think about like Jay Lane, as good as he was at Middle Tennessee, if he doesn't come to Tech, same with Bashal Tootin, they don't get that opportunity. So, I think it's pretty good. Brian, I know Bell did not play. I know Burgos, something happened, but he was looking good, did something, and they were like, nope, you ain't playing no more. Yep. You go over here and sit. But you're feeling okay between Burgos, Jonkum, Asen, Stevens, James Jeanette, Ben Bell, or as always, go get an edge rusher. Don't matter.
I mean, throw one more in there. You couldn't hurt. I think, you know, you got Bell coming in. I think you might.
Well, Bell's there. He just hurt his shoulder.
Yeah. But I'm saying, as far as playing.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be somebody that you can count on, you know, come the fall. I'm a little concerned if we don't have maybe one more in there, though, because I like what I saw from Asen. I thought Jeanette, he played a little bit better when he was kind of he was in those zone blitz looks. I didn't see a ton of rush from him, where he's going to be some sort of impact player from an edge perspective. I think he could be a solid player, but I don't think he's necessarily going to be a big impact guy. So you got three guys you feel like you can rely on: Burgos, Jonkum, Bell. You got Asen Stevens that's coming along, and then you got Jeanette that is probably a little more niche in terms of what he can do for you. So it wouldn't hurt to get one more guy in that room that can kind of mix in with those guys.
All right, so go to on 3 or 247 and look at Portal and find an edge for us, y'all. Cornerback room, last room I hit. I mean, from the look of the defense, we're probably running. I mean, we've got IBM, and I think the way you said Knowledge played, I think it's going to be tough to keep him from getting a red shirt this year. I think the way you've mentioned how he played, but who else? Who else in that room? You've obviously got Lovis, Tom Williams. Josh Clark did not play. There's stuff saying he might not be back for fall. We'll have to hear that when we see it. But who else got some run, and who else did you like? And what about Lovett? Does Lovett look like he took that step?
He looks like he took that step. I think he's definitely going to be. He stepped into that dog role in that room. I think the big question is there going to be other guys that can run with him at a consistent level, where we don't get into situations where if one guy's down, or especially if it is Lovett, where we're behind the 8 ball, especially if we're not going to have Clark come the fall. So I liked what I saw from IBM. He did blow the double pass coverage there. It was a bunch wheel route from Selden. As soon as the first pass happened, he jumped it, and Selden took off and to the races. And Braylon Johnson was on the back end of that and didn't really do a good job of kind of getting over there from a safety perspective. Thomas Williams looked pretty good. No real big notes there. I tell you, JoJo Krim was probably the younger guy that probably popped off a little bit more than I expected. So keep an eye on JoJo Krim. Christian Williams got in the mix as well. Was fine. Nothing impressive, but I'd say as far as like high ceiling guy, JoJo Krim of the younger guys is going to be the guy to keep an eye on.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good stuff about Krim just coming out of camp and things like that. So, man, you gotta put the dogs on the field. You got to burn some shirts this year. You got to put some people in, and put the best talent that you have on the field to try to win games. So sometimes the best talent is young talent.
All right, y'all, real quick. Andretti say he want to play games with y'all. Y'all get that down.
Andretti's in the house.
Andretti's in the house. I think this is another room. I think you need one more just to feel good. Don't be mean to numbers. We're gonna talk about the 44.
Hey man, we got some weird numbers here.
We always got weird numbers there.
We got Jonkum at 66. I mean, I guess that's fine. We got Krim at 35. We don't have the double fours outside anymore, Tally.
Good. We don't need them. Well, we got a 35 somewhere running around back there now, so yeah, that ain't no better.
He took the mantle. He took the mantle. 44 is on a line.
Hey, at least 35 is a safety number, maybe not a.
That's true.
Not a linebacker number.
True. All right. Obviously, we kind of went through it. We told you where we feel like we see with the portal, and that's wide open right now over the next few days. One commit today, probably a few more coming in the next couple of days. We'll see how they land. We'll probably discuss those transfers and the impacts on them. But let's flip over to the big portal shit that went down over the last couple of weeks, and that's the Nico Iamaleava situation. I don't know who wants to start, but if anybody would like to take the mantle and start with this situation and just give us your honest to God opinion about what happened.
Tally, this seems like your bread and butter.
And you close to it too, Tally.
Oh man, I don't know. The portal is so crazy. How I look at things though, I feel like, And this is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna sound crazy. So y'all just hang in there with me. $1 million, $2 million, whatever the numbers are, $3 million. Would I love to have it at 39 years old? Yeah, of course. But what these kids are trying to do with this NIL, $2 million ain't gonna be shit. That's not gonna change your family's life forever like you think. So you're chasing this, in my opinion, little bit of money when you can go and make the real money. And these coaches are a fraternity, man. I just feel like these kids put themselves in bad spots, and families put themselves in bad spots by playing that money game. And then when it comes down to doing, NFL ratings and NFL interviews and things like that, what's going to be said in them back rooms? Hey, y'all, you might want to stay away from him. He's going to, he's not loyal. He's going to play your team for money, whatever the case may be. So, I just wish people would be more careful with things like that. And then on the surface of this, just the surface, not even thinking that deep into it, it's like stuff coming out. He didn't want to play the playoff game, asking for more money then, wanting more money now. I probably would rather stick with Josh Heupel than the UCLA coach. I don't even know who is the UCLA coach. Who is it?
Let me effort that.
Curtis having to Google it. He don't fucking know.
Was it Moore or something? Or
I think you're right.
Deshaun Foster.
Yeah, Foster.
All I'm saying is I've seen Heupel turn some good players into NFL players.
Yep.
I probably would want to stick with him and get the real money because the kid has talent. So he's going to get himself to the next level with his talent for the most part, as long as he don't do nothing stupid and get hurt, any of those things. I probably would want to stick out with a coach that I know has proven that he can get quarterbacks to the NFL so I can get the real life-changing money than worry about the little money that you're getting now. Because if your talent can get you $2 million in college, what can it get you in the NFL? Look at Cam Ward.
Yep, 100%.
Look at Cam Ward, man. Bet on himself. Put himself in the right positions, and probably going to be the first pick in the draft. What kind of money is that? Like that, I just wish these kids and these families would go back to knowing like that's the real goal. That's the life-changing money there. But we're chasing this quick money, and I just feel like that quick money is going to have some stipulations on it. Sooner or later, they're going to start putting some stuff on that where it's going to hurt some of these kids. And then my real opinion is fucking dumb, stupid. It was dumb. Like this whole situation was stupid.
Sheldon, any feelings on this as you and I don't know how much you get when Shelton's working. I don't know how much he gets to read into these situations and do all that. But anything on that?
No, I read a lot with this. I say this every day because I'm interested in like the politics and like the litigation aspect of this whole debate. Listen to all the podcasts and stuff. I mean, I could go on forever, but I would say just to give you my main thought, like I'm a big free market guy. I think that Nico has his rights to bargain for what he feels it might be worth. I also think Tennessee has every right to make a financial decision in their best interest, and they decided to do that, and they moved on. So to me, this is like the free market at work here. I know it's turbulent time, but I think this is just two parties deciding what's best, and ultimately Nico screwed himself out of some money, or so it would seem. But I mean, that's the bet he made. So you make in life, you sometimes make decisions that don't turn out the way you want to, and you just gotta learn from it. And that's his right as an American. So I'm not super rattled by this whole saga. Like I think it's the free market at work. And I also think kind of like Joe Klatt said, we don't necessarily know all the full details of everything that transpired in this situation, or why specifically Nico wanted to opt out at this particular time. So I don't have too much judgment on that part of it, but I mean, it's part of life. Like you move jobs because you think you might get a better deal, maybe it doesn't work out, and that's just how life goes. So I'm very much kind of a pragmatist when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about pragmatic approaches. If I'm in a good situation and I'm making good money, I'm going to have an offer in my hand before I step out on that. That's a pragmatic decision. And with as much tampering as already going on, if you and your pops in particular weren't pushing things without getting something in writing or getting some sort of handshake deal before you start rattling cages like that, you put yourself in a bad situation, because now you've got this kid gloves type of reputation where it's like, all right, is this tainted goods? Is this tainted goods? Like, he pushed his way out of this. Is this going to be our fate too? Like I think the biggest problem with what he did and how he did it was that he didn't have a plan, a long-term plan when he started rattling the cages. And ultimately that landed him at UCLA, a job that Chip Kelly said a coordinator role with the Raiders was better than being the head coach at UCLA. So
Ohio State first.
Ohio State first, but yeah,
Ohio State first. Yeah, now. He's with the Raiders now. To me, it's all about what he thought he had leverage, because he sat there. It's almost the end of spring practice. I want $2 million more. Whether they were shopping him or not, he went to them. You're going to give me $4 million, or Jim, real quick. No, SEC cannot transfer within SEC. That is a rule in their bylaws. They cannot transfer within. That's why he went to UCLA. But to the point goes, he over leveraged himself. He thought they ain't gonna fucking let me go. We went to the playoffs last year. We were a good team last year. And basically, Heupel said, "Home slice. I've been coaching quarterbacks for about 15 years now. All of them I get usually play pretty damn good. You're not worth the extra $2 million." And he screwed himself out of money. And he's probably screwed himself, to Tally's point. Tally, I looked it up. The first round draft pick, Cam Ward's going to effectively get $43 million with about 30 of it guaranteed. That's the point Tally makes right there. $2 million is nothing compared to 40. I'd love $2 million right now, and to Tally's point.
Right.
But $44 million, that is generational type wealth, where literally it's not just your kids, it's your kids' kids that can keep living off that, living good, having a great life. So to me, he just tried to play the game, and they were just like, screw you, dude. And that's the other issue with the college kids. To me, there's probably only about 5 or 6 players seriously, that can say, I want an extra $1 million right now, or I'm leaving, and schools are going to give it to them. So I completely
and then another thing too, when you talk about NIL, because I'm like, I don't want to say I'm straddling the fence, but like I understand where it comes from the organization standpoint, but also like I'm with Shelton. Like, I know these young men deserve to get certain things, and it's their right to choose what they want to do. But I'm also looking at it from like my son, Now my son ain't gonna get no fucking NIL like that. He ain't gonna get nothing if he don't start hitting the ball. But what I'm saying is, like, thinking about a kid or a young man getting $2 million, right? Sounds like a lot of money, right? They're like, oh, that's a lot of money. They don't deserve it, or they do deserve it. Like, do you know how many people's riding on that $2 million? Like me, if I got $2 million right now, I'm worried about 4 people. I got 2 kids and my wife. I'm worried about 4 people. I can make some stuff shake with $2 million.
Yep.
These kids have whole families depending on them to get them places and move them across the country and bring their little brothers with them. So that $2 million between 20 people or however many people, it's not going very far, because mama want a car, daddy want a car. We got to move because they need to go to my games, and they live across the country, so got to buy them a house over here. Like, it's not the lottery, man. Like, they're not winning the lottery, and I think that they just get caught up in the hype right then. And I just hope they look at things different. Like, my GOAT didn't ever play the NFL. Gerard Evans never made it to the NFL. I know that there's politics in football. So if Gerard didn't make it, I feel like a coach can put a word in and you won't make it no matter what your talent is. So, again, I just want these families and these young men to start thinking about it from a business standpoint more than they are thinking about it just from a money standpoint. So, yeah, I hope he didn't screw himself out of money because I think the kid's talented. You know, I think he's got something. You know, I think he can. You know, who knows how high he can go, but I do know that once you start, it's a good old boy society, man. When you start playing around in that in the weeds, you know, somebody might get the mower out. So we'll see.
There you go. All right. Well, speaking of that, and because it kind of goes into a good segue into the last thing we're going to talk about tonight, the NFL draft is tomorrow night. I know Sheldon, I'm not sure if you've got a game tomorrow, but I will be stuck to the TV. Probably Tally, you get to stay the least because Tally's team is picking first. My team's picking 11, Brian's team's picking 15, and Shelton's way back at like 30. But I wanted to just go through y'all and just hear what you want your team to do. And we're going to do it in order. So, Tally, with the first pick in the NFL, 2025 NFL draft, the Tennessee Titans,
Cam Ward. They're taking Cam Ward. I mean, we ain't hit on a quarterback in, I think, since like 1997 or something like that. I don't know. Like, we've been not good at drafting quarterbacks, but this is going to change this year. I like Cam Ward a lot. I think that's the obvious pick. The only other person I thought they would have picked right there would be the generational talent, Travis Hunter, but that's not what our team really needs right now. So I'm thinking, I'm knowing that we're going for Cam Ward. So I'm just hoping that we got the line to block for him because everybody's going to judge their young quarterbacks by what Jaden Daniels did, right?
True.
You know, like that's what you want your quarterback to come in and do. Does he do that? I don't know. You know, I don't think so, but if he can do a step better than we did last year, so we ain't got the first pick the year after, I'll be okay with that.
I hear you. By the way, y'all in the chat, I know Josh put in there Denver drafting Janetti. If you got what you think your team should do, say it. I'm going to go next. I'm a 49ers fan, if y'all don't know. And everybody thinks like, oh, y'all need a lot of different stuff. And it's like, no, our defense was ass last year. Brock Purdy's going to get paid probably somewhere north of $300 million very, very soon. He is.
And
everybody's like, he was ass. Y'all couldn't win last year. It wasn't because of him. He was like sixth best quarterback in the league. Ayuk was hurt. McCaffrey was hurt. He still played decent. But for us, I'd like to see us trade back. But the truth is, if you ask me right now who we take, who I want us to take, I'm going to take a kid out of Ole Miss, the D tackle, Walter Nolan. He's like 6'3". He's like 300 pounds. He is a hell of a run stopper. He's got some pass rush moves on the inside, and we need to build that part. Brian, you're next on the clock.
You know what? I mean, everything I'm seeing so far, they've got the Colts really wanting to get a tight end. I definitely feel it's a position of need. And lo and behold, who's probably going to be there? Tyler Warren, Adley's finest.
Adley's finest.
So I think that's going to be the pick. I think just as a Richmond guy, as a Mechanicsville, as a Hanover resident, that would be a pretty cool pick for the Colts. If we end up not going that route or he's not available, I think Shamar Stewart, the edge from Texas A&M, would probably be where I'd go if Ty Warren's not available there.
Shelton, it's been a long time coming since you had to wait. Shelton's gonna have to wait up for the first time in how many years for the draft? Well, what's your Commanders gonna do?
Yeah, they'll probably be defense focused because that's where they got to improve the most. I think probably edge and corner will be the biggest priorities. Maybe wide receiver. I've seen a couple mock drafts have us take a wide receiver in the first round. But as far as it pertains to the Hokies, we do have a need for a more explosive running back, and I know that we had some workouts with Bashal Tootin. So it's possible they could go after Tootin, maybe in kind of a mid-round pick, because I think he'd probably be slotted third or fourth round. So it'd be great if that worked out because it fills a team need. But I think it'll be probably more of a defensive-minded draft for the Commanders.
All right. No player in particular right there?
Let me see. I know there was what was his name?
What's cool? I've only done 600 mocks in the last month.
Yeah, there was a UCLA defensive end. I can't remember his name.
Linebacker or end? End?
I think it was an end.
Benicio Aladejo. Yeah, he's flying up the boards too because he went from like mid-second, third round to like he might sneak into the back end of the first round. So who knows? That's true. Yeah, that's true. They're going to be getting Malachi Starks is who they're going to get. All right. How many Hokies? Are we all thinking 5?
5.
Who's the fifth? I got Peebles, APR, Lane, Tootin, Strong. Is that the 5?
Peebles,
Tootin, APR, Lane, Strong, and Peebles. Yeah, 5.
Peebles, yeah.
Okay.
Felton might slip in late 7th round just because 6'4", but I think 5.
That's what she said.
Boom. All right, I like this one. I'm gonna start it with myself. If our teams have to take one Hokie, who would I want it to be? I need it to be Aeneas Peoples. I need a 3-tech that can go eat because Nolan can play the 1-tech. I want Aeneas Peoples, and I think Aeneas Peoples will be the first one off the board. That's my prediction. I think Aeneas Peoples is going to be the first one off the board. About y'all, you got a feeling, Tally? Tally's smiling. Tally, one Hokie that if you say Tennessee, draft that man.
We getting Cam Ward. Like I said, it's going to be a young quarterback, and we need wide receivers because Burks can't stay healthy. Like, he's going to get hurt again this year. Not wishing that on him. It just happens. Give me Jay Lane, man. I think Jay Lane's going – I think he's going to play in the league for a long time. Not saying he's going to be super, dominant, but he's a pro, man. He just does his job. And I think that if we could somehow get Jay Lane, I would definitely have on his jersey. It'd be a lot bigger than the one he wears. He ain't a very big guy, but I would get his jersey and be wearing it. So give me Lane, man. Of course, I love Tootin, but Shelton already took him, so we'll say Jay Lane.
Hey, real quick here. There was somebody, I can't remember who I was listening to. I've listened to a ton of draft podcasts this year, unlike normal. Somebody said they think Jay Lane is the best punt returner in this draft, straight up. Which means, again, if he can do anything on the wide receiver, he's getting it. Shelton, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think Tootin would make the most logical sense based on the team needs. Obviously, you could go Peoples. I don't think it makes sense based on where they're drafting. But I think Tootin would give them a really dynamic edge, especially with all the skill talent I've got, the threat of JD running. I think that'd be a really awesome combination to watch.
Very nice. Brian?
I mean, I could see I know we're looking at edge and cornerback probably somewhere between rounds 1 to 4, right? So if we don't get an edge in the first round, if we're able to get a tight end, I think we could be in a spot where APR might make some sense. So I would like to see APR.
All righty. Got Jim on here. You and Jim are going to be fighting for him in the 5th round. So, yeah, and that's tomorrow night. And, again, it's always cool to see. I felt like the last few years we just hadn't had anybody get drafted. Anything else, y'all? Anybody else jump in the portal while you've been sitting here for the last little while?
Not that we know of.
Not that we know of. It'll all be revealed tomorrow. Well, with that being said, let's wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by the Counts Family Pharmacy in Blacksburg. I am Curtis Wilson.
Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
Sheldon Moss.
Visit our website, boundarycornerbt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. Also, follow us wherever you want to follow us, Twitter, Facebook. Definitely follow us on YouTube. Easiest way to listen to us is any of our podcast sources. Whoever you like, we're there. He did not play us in tonight, but he always is our music man, Jason Long, down in Roanoke. Check out jasonlongmusic.com, where you can link to all of his music on Apple, Spotify, his YouTube and Facebook pages. We appreciate y'all listening. Really appreciate y'all in the chat tonight. Y'all were funny. Y'all were great tonight in the chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.
Hokies.